Welcome to the Faroe Islands, a tiny nation in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean made up of 18 volcanic islands. These islands offer one of the most dramatic landscapes I have ever seen in my life. The untouched nature is waiting to be explored and admired. I have been fortunate enough to visit and explore this beautiful country in September of 2022. And today, I want to share everything I know and help you plan your next trip to the Faroe Islands. As you begin to plan your visit to the Faroe Islands, you will find that SAS and Atlantic Airways, the national carrier of Faroe Islands, offer direct, non-stop flights from select cities in Europe. When it comes to getting around the Faroe Islands, I highly recommend renting a car, as it not only gives you the freedom to explore the islands at your own pace, but you will surely want to stop at the many beautiful overlooks you will encounter along the way. Now, if you choose to rent a car for your adventure here in the Faroes, I suggest renting a regular economy car, as the roads are in great condition and a 4x4 is not necessary. I will leave a link to some of the car rental companies in the video description below. As you begin traveling between the islands, you will drive through an extensive network of tunnels, as well as 3 main subsea tunnels. These tunnels are between the islands of Vagar, Streymoy, and Eysturoy, and prices for these tunnels are listed below. Most car rental companies will charge you these tunnel fees at the end of your car rental, but always be sure to check. When thinking of where to stay on the Faroe Islands, I recommend the capital, Torshavn, as it is a good starting point for all of your adventures. Check out this beautiful Hilton hotel, opened in 2020, featuring a Scandinavian architecture with its grass roof. Don't limit yourself to hotels in big cities, as there are plenty of unique stays around the country, such as this tiny cabin I stayed in on the island of Viðoy, which was surrounded by gushing waterfalls overlooking the sea ahead. Most of us who make their journey to the Faroe Islands seek to experience this country's extraordinary landscape. Some of these beautiful hikes here in the Faroe Islands are located on privately owned land and may come at a cost. Despite the steep cost for some of these hikes, I am still thankful for the owners for allowing us to experience these beautiful places. In this next part of the video, I will share my 1-week itinerary with you guys, talk about some of the popular spots on each of the islands that I visited, and tell you about the costs associated with some of the hikes. Your adventures will begin here on Vágar Island. After you land at the Vagar International Airport, you can pick up your car rental from the adjacent parking lot, and you'll be on your way to explore the beautiful Faroe Islands. For your first stop on the Vágar Island, I recommend the village of Gásadalur, home to the iconic Múlafossur waterfall. Keep your eye out for a sign leading you to the Múlafossur waterfall. There is a short gravel path that leads you straight to the overlook. From here, you can admire the majestic Múlafossur waterfall plunging 30 meters over the cliffs and into the Atlantic Ocean below. For more incredible views of Gásadalur, check out the trail marked by the orange poles that takes you to the various overlooks of the surrounding landscape. Next, we will head over to the city of Sørvágur, where we will begin our hike to one of the most famous sea stacks in all of Faroe Islands, Drangarnir. In order to do this hike, you must make advance reservation on hiking.fo website and pay a steep fee of 550 Danish kroners. The hike can only be done on Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays, so plan accordingly. The hike itself is 7 miles round trip and takes an average of 6 hours to complete. I recommend you bring plenty of water, sturdy shoes, and trekking poles if you wish. Despite its steep price, this is a hike that should be on everyone's bucket list. The memories you will make will last a lifetime. No visit to Vagar would be complete without a visit to the largest lake in the Faroe Islands, also referred to as the lake above the ocean. The hike starts just outside of the town of Mjóvagur. There is a fee of 200 Danish kroner to enter, but as you will see in just a moment, it is well worth it. This hike is just under 5 miles round trip on a relatively flat surface that takes you to beautiful overlooks of the Slave Cliff, Lake Sorvaksvatn, and Bosdalafasur waterfall. After a few days of hiking on the beautiful island of Vagar, we head over to the biggest island in the country, Streymoy. Here I recommend staying in the capital city of Torshavn, as it is the biggest city with many restaurants, hotels, and conveniently located to many of the activities I am about to share with you. Spending a day in the capital is a great way to learn about the Faroese culture. Start by visiting some of the restaurants serving traditional Faroese cuisines, or take a stroll around the waterfront and into the historical district of Dinganes that is home to one of the oldest parliament meeting places in the world. The next day we head over to Vestmanna, a picturesque village situated in a deep fjord surrounded by steep cliffs and rugged mountains. The best way to experience the beauty of this landscape is via a boat tour, which you can book on Guide to Faroe Islands website. The tour lasts around 1.5 hours, during which you will learn about the history of the area and enjoy the views out in front of you. When visiting the area, another place you must visit is Saksun. This small, secluded village offers visitors an insight into traditional Faroese life. For me personally, the biggest draw of this place is the lagoon, which is only accessible during low tide and can be reached via a short 3-mile round-trip hike. There is a small 75 Danish kroner fee to pay, but to me this price was well justified as for what I witnessed next. As I reached the lagoon, the rain stopped and a rainbow appeared, and for the first time in my life I witnessed both ends of the rainbow, surrounded by beautiful waterfalls. After some time exploring Saksun, we head to the north of the island to an old settlement tucked into a valley called Tjurnavik. Before we reach the village, we make a quick stop by the tallest waterfall in Faroe Islands. Fossa Waterfall is not only the tallest waterfall in the Faroe Islands, measuring 140 meters tall, but it is also one of its most famous. It can be admired right off the side of the road and is a perfect pit stop as you're driving to Tjurnavik. When in Tjurnavik, check out the Black Sand Beach, which is said to be the best surfing spot in the entire country. While you're exploring the beach, look out ahead to see the two famous sea stags of the Giant and the Witch. Explore the beautiful homes in the village, but please be mindful and respectful of its residents. To finish off an incredible day full of adventures, hike up the mountain just behind the village for a beautiful panorama of the surrounding area. After spending a few days exploring the island of Streymoy, we head north to the island of Eysturoy via the longest subsea tunnel in the country, measuring over 7 miles. Pay attention as you're driving through the tunnel, as it contains the only underwater roundabout in the entire world. Our first stop today is just outside of the village of Funningur in a place called Hvítamar. There is a short hike up to an incredible viewpoint that overlooks the fjord and the village down below. We're now going to drive just a few minutes north to a picturesque village named Gjöf. The village was named after a 200-meter-long gorge that spills out into the sea. Once you reach the town, there is a small parking lot right next to the gorge. Get out and explore the many colorful buildings, a church built in 1929, and listen to the sounds of the stream flowing down from the nearby mountains. For the best views of the surrounding area, follow the paved trail along the gorge that leads you to a beautiful overlook of the gorge, the surrounding landscapes, and if you look straight ahead of you, you'll notice the island of Kalsoy. For the last stop of the day, we head to the second largest city in the Faroe Islands, Klaksvik. Nestled between two beautiful mountains, Klaksvik was the result of a merger of 4 nearby villages dating back to the Viking era. If you have some time to stop and explore, check out these museums to learn about the Faroese culture or try these delicious restaurants. To finish off this incredible day, drive up the Klaksvik mountain, where you will be greeted by the stunning view of Klaksvik and its surrounding landscape. The very next day, we wake up early to catch a ferry from Klaksvik to the island of Kalsoy, where the famous Kalur lighthouse is located. Check out the ssl.fo website for the ferry schedule and look for the route from Klaksvik to Suðuroyar. Be sure to inquire before your trip if the ferry will be taking cars on board, as in my case, it did not. I also recommend you check out the website for multi-day passes if you plan on taking public transportation or the ferries to some of the islands. Once on board, it's a short 20-minute ride across to the island of Kalsoy. Once there, you can take a bus around the island for around 20 Danish kroner each way. Before we reach our destination at the north of the island, I recommend making a quick stop to the village of Mikladalur. As you walk around the village, check out the small, beautiful church, look around you and take in the mesmerizing views, and head down to the harbor to discover the legend of the seal woman. Just 3 miles north of Mikladalur is the village of Trollanes. This is where you will begin your hike to one of the most iconic and photographed spots in all of Faroe Islands. The hike itself is roughly 2.5 miles, and I recommend sturdy shoes as part of the hike requires going up a steep hill. If you have some additional time after visiting all of the places I have just talked about, consider driving to the northernmost island in the entire country, Viðoy. Here you can explore the small town of Viðoy and a small beautiful church sitting at the edge of the cliff. There are many incredible hikes in the area, but the one I recommend is Villingadarfjall. This hike climbs up a steep mountain from which you will have incredible views of the surrounding area and the city down below. About a 30-minute drive from Viðoy, you can visit the island of Kunoy. In Faroese, Kunoy means Woman Island, and if you look directly across, you'll notice the island of Kalsoy, which translates to Man Island. A fun little piece of information. While in the area, don't forget to check out the charming little forest behind the Eysturoy village, sit back and enjoy the Faroese nature. One of the most sought after activities when coming to the Faroe Islands is seeing the puffins on the island of Mykonos. Unfortunately, I came after the seasons and all of the puffins were gone. Between the months of April and September, thousands of puffins nestle along the cliffs of Mykonos Island, and you can safely walk the trail and observe them from a distance. Unfortunately, in 2021, a big landslide closed the main trail, so if you are planning a visit, you can book your ferry shuttle tickets on mykonos.fo, but be sure to check for any trail closures before going. To wrap things up, here's how much I spent during the 8 days I was exploring the Faroe Islands. Keep in mind that this may very well change based on your traveling style, but at least now you have an estimate of how much you need to save to visit the Faroe Islands. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found it informational, useful, and inspiring to plan your next trip to the Faroe Islands. I hope to see you again on my next video. Bye-bye.